This podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Listen to other great tech podcasts at www.techpodcasts.com.
This is Techwebcast.
Computers.
Technology.
Gadgets.
And other geeky stuff.
It's on iTunes. It's awesome.
And it's from the future.
Follow us at twitter.com/techwebcast.
And
On
Facebook and check techwebcast.info for info. Techwebcast.
Turn on, tune in, drop on.
Welcome to episode 264 of the Tech Webcast podcast, recorded the 9th of November, 2013. Tech Webcast is recorded every Saturday and rebroadcast on Aussie Tech Heads on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Please rate us on iTunes and like us on Facebook.com/Tech Webcast. Your hosts today are Brent, that's me, Brad, Jody, Jacob, and Jenn.
Hello to you, Brent.
Hello to you, Brad.
Good to have you on, mate.
Thank you for having
ever
me.
done radio before?
Not really.
Well, you should start doing it.
Thank you.
We got Jacob on. Welcome back, Jacob.
Thank you. How are you today, Brad?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. No Andrew today or no Steve because one's sick and she's doing something else.
All I have to say for Steve is get well.
He'll be back next week.
Make
Also,
a full recovery.
Okay. Also, we got Jennifer filling in for Andrew. Welcome, Jennifer, back.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Good to have you on.
Good to be here.
Yes.
Thank you.
And also, we got Jody back on as always. Welcome back, Jody.
Thanks, Brad.
And
by the way, Brent, that was amazing.
it was amazing.
I know, Brent, you have a voice for it. You do so well.
I agree.
Thank you, guys.
So, Jacob, let's get into the YouTube comments for a minute. Explain what's been going on.
Well, people have been complaining about these new YouTube comments. Here's one thing. You make a comment over on YouTube, it shows up on your Google+. And I'm looking at one right now.
It shows up in your Google Plus stream?
Yes, whatever comment you make on any video, it blows right over to you.
Wow.
Blows right over to your profile.
Is there a way to disable that?
No.
And you also got to use your YouTube, your Google Plus profile to use YouTube as well. Apparently, is that right?
Yes, it is, because I don't like it.
I hate it. I don't like it. I dislike it. When
No, the comments, because, what if you're in a, constantly commenting, if it's an automatically updating, like a marathon, and it's just going blah, 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 blah all over your screen.
Well, I hate everything about it. Jennifer, what do you reckon about it?
I was just going to say there has to be a way to control this. So, for example, I have my YouTube right now so that none of my friends can see my activity. If I like something, no one will see it. If I, comment on something, it's not going to show up in my feed. I wonder if I were to comment, if this would show up in my Google Plus feed, because I have all that disabled right now for YouTube itself. So I'm wondering if that's a workaround. If that's not, I think it's definitely a privacy issue. And, I know anything you post out there is not private, it's public, but sometimes you don't want that kind of stuff broadcast to your Google Plus stream, so it's a different audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think the rationale makes a lot of sense, and that is when you have a video channel and people are making comments, a lot of people will hide behind pseudonyms and they'll make all kinds of troll type comments. So the idea was that in order to make a comment on a YouTube video, you have to have a Google Plus account. And if you remember, in the very, very early days, you couldn't have a Google Plus account unless you used your real name. So really, it's trying to hold the commenters more accountable so that they're not anonymous, and consequently, make it more of a community and have it all linked together. I don't think it's an awful thing. I just think knowing how it works is helpful.
Well, when I go over to my name I don't have any videos. I lose all my videos when I switch to my Google Plus profile.
Mm-hmm. You don't have any that show up on your YouTube page there?
No. It asked
Interesting.
it asked me to make a new YouTube channel,
Oh,
which is
interesting.
strange. Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Brent? What do you think about this, mate?
My guess is that someone high up in the company has really adopted this philosophy of unifying all the different Google platforms. We see that a lot now, at least on the sign-in pages for all the different Google services that are out there, of one sign-in, one Google universe, or whatever the wording is they're showing now. And yeah, that probably makes sense on paper, but as typical with Google, I think the implementation is skewed. Forcing someone's hand to create a Google Plus account just to comment. Okay, I kind of understand that in the hopes of making it better, but to have all those comments and follow you back to a social page that you didn't want to create anyway, I think it will turn more people off than it's trying to improve the service. I think they screwed up the execution on the plan.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree as well. Jacob,
Yeah.
let's jump to your TV thing you did this morning on your computer.
Well, this morning, for this evening and this morning for Brad, we tested out the new Cox Cable TV app for the computer through a Google Plus Hangout. It's actually pretty nice.
So you can actually watch your cable TV channels on your computer now?
Yes, up to 90 channels, but they're still adding more. It's still got little bugs in it.
So what's sort of some of the features you can use in it?
You can tell the box to record the show or whatever is on there at the moment.
Okay. All right. Jenna, have you come across anything like this before? Or?
I believe there might be something like it with Time Warner Cable, I think. Oh, no, then again, I'm not certain. Because, I don't subscribe to a cable service, so I can't really speak in an educated manner on this topic. So
Yeah.
I'll pass the buck to Brent or Jody on this one. Because
Yeah.
do you guys...
Yeah. Jody, have you used anything like this before, or have you heard of it?
I'm not sure what you're talking about, to be honest.
Well, Jake,
Well-
what do you call it?
Well, what it is it goes from your receiver all the way to your computer.
So you're able to watch you're able to watch the channels you can watch on your TV, but you can watch them on your computer via the Cox app. Is it an app?
Yeah,
on
I
your
think how it works. I think he downloads the app onto the computer and then he signs in with his username and password, and then he just watches whatever he pays for on his cable TV subscription.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
why
we
would
have-
that be any different? I mean, I do that with Comcast Xfinity. I can watch all of my cable stuff on my computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that supposed to be something new, or is it a new offer?
I'm just going by what Jacob said. Apparently it's just been released something. Is that true, Jacob, or not?
Yeah, the maker of it is Contour from Cox.
Okay. What about you, Brent? What's your view on that?
My understanding is that this is starting to be adopted widely in the U.S., but Comcast has kind of led the pack in making this most available without dependency on your cable box at home doing anything.
Yeah.
I think what Jody's experience has been is that all channels that she subscribed to at home are accessible through any internet connection, regardless of what her cable boxes are doing at home. And that's the gold standard, but it's hard to negotiate all those terms for all these other smaller ones like Cox, who are quickly catching up, not quite there yet. So that makes sense. They're starting with 90 channels. I'm sure they'll get there to 100% of channels this year, but it's coming slowly.
So many channels to watch. How do you watch them all? I don't know. I don't get it. Too many.
Whatever, it's by whatever's on.
Too many on. All right, let's get into some news then, Jody, if you've got some there handy.
Yeah, and we also have HBO Go. I don't know if
Oh, yeah, yep.
I mean, there's Xfinity on demand. There's HBO Go. I mean, Netflix. So it just seems like that's not novel. I mean, maybe I'm spoiled. I could be spoiled, but
I don't know.
yeah. So speaking of being spoiled, interestingly enough, you know how we have all these really cool extensions when you use Google Chrome. Well, apparently, Google's banning the Windows Chrome extensions that were from outside the Chrome Web Store. And they say that their decision to do this by transforming Chrome into a gated community, it stems ostensibly from security concerns. And yet it's probably going to make it easier for Google to police the extensions. And they've been on a bit of security tear recently. They're also trying to step up Chrome's malware busting efficiencies. And there may be another reason why they're launching this kind of an initiative, and that is that if your Chrome Web Store hosted app or extension generates income, well then Google's going to take a 5% cut of that revenue. So it kind of makes sense if they are gating down the extensions. I don't know if you guys have seen any changes there or not, but
No, not really.
no.
I
Okay.
know. I have one to say.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Well, Saul Fleischman's right tag plugin.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was outside of Chrome. So
Oh, yeah. So he'll have to make it inside Chrome, the store, the web store.
yeah, because he's keeping it private because doesn't want people to know about it yet. But here's the thing, he's gonna have to.
Mm-hmm.
When you agree, because since they're to be doing this, I agree with Google. You gotta keep the malware and stuff out of it. Excuse me.
I agree with you, Jacob. I agree entirely. I think there's too much. There's too many people out there that want to hack or attack a system and
Scam.
I think, yeah, and I kind of feel safer knowing that these extensions will be actually run by Google, and if they approve it, then that means it's safe for us. So I'm on board with it. I know it kind of moves away from the open platform, but I do feel safer knowing that it's official by Google. So it is something that if they get 5%, though, it does kind of stink for the developer that they have to turn 5% of those profits. However, on the other note, that app would be featured in the Google Web Store, right? So,
yes,
and searchable. So they possibly could make more revenue that way.
All right. What about you, Brent? Do you have a view on that story, mate?
Yeah, I think that it's basically just consensus of what we've all said. I agree entirely. I think there's definitely upsides to having everything live inside kind of that curated, walled garden approach to say this is your single place. Consumers can go to get approved, safe extensions. And yeah, there's probably some downsides to the revenue if they're selling them. But the upside as well is probably that they're going to host them for you. Google will host them on your servers. So you don't have to take care of maintaining a separate website or some other way to get the word out. So there's pros and cons, but clearly this is a benefit, I think, for the consumers, and I think that's the reason that drove the decision for Google to make it.
All right. Next story, Jody.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, game players who have been waiting for that Xbox One that's supposed to be coming out on November 22nd. Jacob found the story, and he feels it's really important, and that's that if you unbox and turn on that Xbox One, you better make sure you have an internet connection nearby, because apparently there is a day one patch. It will not play. There's no functionality until you install that patch. So, yeah. It's unfortunate.
That's
It's
unbelievable.
expected to take about 15 to 20 minutes to download, too.
God.
Yeah, for some people that have like slower connections than cable, they'll probably be sitting there for hours, probably, because sometimes when you get an update like that, sometimes like 500 megs or more, depending on the system and the service. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's something else that it's, I guess it's kind of normal now. A lot of times, every time, I receive a new piece of hardware, a new tech item, that there's an update.
Yeah,
exactly. It always happens. But what's interesting is that this is brand new. It's just like it's launching and then there's an update. So it's a little bit different with that. If the products I buy usually have been out for a little bit longer, and of course there's going to be an update. So, wow, Microsoft.
So,
My
Jennifer,
goodness.
will you be buying the new Xbox One or?
I don't know. I'm not much of a gamer, so I do like it for the media portion. I do like it for what it can do in regards to the television and watching TV, and yeah, I'd like that. I think it's really cool. So I don't know. A friend of mine is really into the PlayStation and is telling me I should go PlayStation 4, but I'm not much of a gamer, so we'll see. We'll see. You're buying one, aren't you, Brent?
Maybe yes, probably will. Yes, I'll probably get one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Great.
on the day, but probably near the Christmas or something. What about you, Brent? Will you be getting one, and what's your view on the story?
I've been paying. Well, first of all, I think that day one patches are just the norm now. I think that especially approaching a holiday buying season here in the States, that they have to meet their launch deadline, and they had to get these things in mass production and start to get them boxed and prepared. So it's a good thing that they realize that there's problems, and I think the expectation of a day one patch is probably not going to be too hard of a pill to swallow for most of the consumers who are going to be buying this thing. Personally, I've been looking very closely at the PS4 story and the Xbox One story, but neither one are offering, to me at least, a strong enough value proposition to sink the money into it. I'll keep my eyes and ears open, but so far I'm not really interested in either one.
All right, what about you, Jody? Will you be getting a new Xbox or the PS4 or none at all?
Well, I understand you can get one right now for $10,000 on eBay.
You serious?
Yeah, there is a link
Wow,
on Facebook.
that's crazy.
A
Let me
mere
see if
$10,000, but you still have to update it.
Yeah.
It doesn't come pre-updated.
No, it doesn't.
Here you go, Brad, so you can take a look at it for yourself.
All right, I'll check it out later. Okay, next story, Jody, if you can...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed this today, but apparently, I know a couple of my friends reached out to me. Facebook's having issues with their timelines loading both on profiles and pages, and it's a widespread issue. Reports are coming in from all over the world, and we're not clear whether everyone's affected or just some people. I know my account didn't appear to be affected, but one of my friends reached out to me, and she said, what's going on? I can't access my page. And when I went, it said that her page was unavailable. So it just said it didn't load properly. Please try again. But if you log out of Facebook, then it should load just fine. And the news feed appears to be working fine. But yeah, there's problems in heaven over there.
Yeah, I'm having the same thing. I'm getting the white page as well on the feed.
I concur.
I have to keep refreshing to get stuff to see it, you know?
Yeah, like Brad's saying, sometimes I can load the page fine, but sometimes my thing doesn't even, the news portion doesn't even show up at all. It's like, I'm like, come on, I'm like clicking like a rabbit. I can't activate the stream. I'm like, what the heck?
All right, what about you, Jennifer? Have you been having problems with Facebook?
I have not had any problems, but I remember you messaging me. I think you woke up in the middle of the night and your Facebook wasn't working.
Oh, yeah. That was at 7 a.m. this morning.
Oh, 7 a.m. I thought it was earlier than that.
No.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Can I add something in?
Go ahead, Jacob.
It's also affecting iOS.
It is, yes. And the app kept closing on me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not sure what happened.
Yeah, whenever the app would load for me, but it would not show my stream. It would show the old stream for like 2 days ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I wonder why it's happening. I'm kind of curious as to maybe their servers are overloaded or something, or
Or they're doing updates.
Yeah.
All right.
At least Google Plus works, so yay.
All right. Okay. So, what else, Jody? What about you? Have you been having problems with Facebook?
Not personally, but I know my friends have. So, but I mean, it's like anything else. When Twitter was new, we had all the fail whale stuff. And I think that they're doing, changes, enhancements. I'm not sure exactly what the cause of it is. I'm sure we'll find out. But just when the story broke, we didn't know what the cause was.
All right.
So.
Next story, Jody. I'm just gonna add Raj in now. Well, he's a guest on today's show.
Let's,
good. Okay. Well, okay. So
let's do the VOD phone.
This is kind of a scary turn of events. You guys know that I was a little bit upset today because my iPad, the screen cracked. I have no idea why it cracked.
Wow.
So I had to go to the Apple store, and when I'm at the Apple store, they apparently, I mean, for no reason, regardless of whether your iPhone screen cracks, and I didn't drop it or anything, I don't know why, there's nothing they'll do to fix it. But what's worse than a cracked iPhone or iPad screen is if your iPad actually catches fire and blows up. Well, apparently there was a problem in an iPad demonstration model. It just caught on fire, and that was in Canberra, and the store had to be evacuated. And Apple went in and they collected the phone. I mean, not the phone, the iPad. Apparently, it was an iPad Air. The Vodafone spokesperson said that there was a burst of flames that erupted from the tablet's charging port, and observers also noted that the appearance of sparks seemed to be coming from the port. And the company confirmed that there were no injuries among the customers or the staff, and they're referring to this, believe it or not, as an iPad explosion, and they're not sure exactly what caused it. What's kind of interesting, though, so here I am in the store with my iPad cracked, and I'm thinking, should I get an iPad Air because that might blow up? And someone said to me, well, is it better if it blows up or you get a Dell computer and it smells like cat pee? I mean, I don't know what tech tastes. Yeah, the Dells are smelling like cat pee. That was our story last week.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. It's because of one of their vendors was actually having cats near their machines.
Well, not really. No, that's not true, Jake.
That's not what it was.
No, that's not true.
It's a joke.
No, that's not true. Okay. So Jody, what was to happen with your iPad? Did you get it fixed, or you still waiting?
No. Okay. So this is kind of crazy. So, I bought the iPad. It's just about 2 years old, and I don't remember if I got the extended warranty. If I had, and it was still within warranty, they would exchange it. No questions, right? But I believe it's out of warranty. So, and I don't remember honestly if I bought the extended warranty or not. So they tell me, here's what you can do. And this is the iPad 3, which isn't really the iPad 3, but the new iPad, which isn't the new iPad anymore because now there's an iPad 4 and actually an iPad Air. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So what they told me I could do for $299, they'll exchange it. Well, for $499, I can get an iPad Air.
Wow.
But there is no option within Apple to get the screen replaced. So I did some investigation. I know it stinks, right? I mean, you would think this would be the first thing that's gonna fail. What's interesting is there seems to be a subculture. There's like a whole industry of these small companies, and what they do is they fix iPads, iPods, iPhones where the screens go, because that's like the most susceptible and vulnerable part of the device. So for $120, there's a place locally I can take it in, and they will within an hour replace the glass. So that's the option I'm thinking of doing, because otherwise I'm going to spend $500 and get the Air, which is nice. I looked at it and it's fast and it's nice. The screen, the actual screen part, is the same size as my iPod, the new iPod or iPad. I'm getting them all confused, right? Which is actually the third generation, but the third generation and fourth generation use the same screen. The iPod Air, because it's smaller, although the
iPod Air?
iPad Air. I know, isn't it awful? I'm getting them all like all my pads and pods and whatever. But anyway, I mean, just the idea that you have to go to a third party to get the screen replaced doesn't sit well with me. And the fact that they don't stand behind it was kind of disconcerting. Mind you, at the same time, I had my MacBook Pro that my daughter uses at school, and apparently the hard drive crashed on that. Also out of warranty, and that's $170 to get replaced. So it was not a good day at the Apple Store with me.
I thought Apple Store was cool, but now I sound like they suck. Yeah, that's interesting, Jody. Apple, they didn't give you a free iPad.
I think, here's what I think they should have done. They should have taken a look at this and they should have said, we can give you a replacement. because
Yeah.
we see that. I mean, it's the goofiest thing. It's not shattered. It's just like this thin line from one corner to the other corner. I have no idea how that would come about because I didn't drop it. So, but I think what they should have done is they should have said, you know what, Jody, we know that you do Tech Webcast, and you've been such a loyal fan of Apple for such a long time. We want you to have the iPad Air just because.
Yeah,
That's what I think they should have done.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And
Maybe
Brent,
they'll listen to the show.
maybe, yeah, I hope they do. Brent, what do you reckon?
Give it a whole new one.
Yeah, it's if it sounds very interesting situation to have that. Typically screen damage is on day one because of shipping or packaging issues, and they're usually because they've shattered. Anything else after that, I think, is assumed to be misuse or abuse. So they probably are just couching you into that category. But it sounds like it is maybe some structural defect that just suddenly exposed itself recently, and I wouldn't give up. I might want to escalate that to someone else in Apple and just make sure you get a definitive no. I will tell you this: there's two things that are happening. The iPhone 5S and the iPhone 5C. They do want to start repairing screens in house for those products at all the Apple stores worldwide.
Wow,
that's a new thing. They had no idea when it's going to start. And just real quick on another piece of news on this is that Apple's investing a tremendous amount of money in Sapphire in the United States. I think in Arizona. They just bought a company that's going to develop a lot of Sapphire. They currently use Sapphire to cover the home button on the 5S for the Touch ID. And they use Sapphire to cover the lens on their iPhones and all the camera modules of their mobile devices. So they're trying to make the glass better. It's their version, I guess, of Gorilla Glass. And in-store repairs are coming more frequently. But I don't know. You might be worth escalating just to make sure that they for sure don't want to help you on that one.
Well, I'll tell you, Brent, it's the craziest thing because it's not, like I said, it's not looking like it's shattered. And in fact, I didn't even notice it. And I picked it up this morning to figure out when the store was going to be open to take the computer in that wasn't working. And when I held it in a certain angle, I could see that from one end, like diagonally, just right across, there's this really fine line. And I thought at first it was just like something had dragged across it. You know what I mean? And then I realized it's actually cracked. I mean, crazy.
Jeez, it is very crazy.
Yeah,
very crazy.
it still works fine. But it's annoying.
It is very annoying. Very annoying. Also, welcome, Raj. How are you, mate? Welcome to the podcast, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. How are you?
Very well, mate. And we'll talk to you very shortly.
Cool.
Jody, any more news stories?
I think we should talk to Raj now.
Okay, let's talk to Raj.
I didn't say anything for this last one.
Yeah, go ahead, Jacob. Yep.
Yeah, the iPod Air exploding, I don't like that because, you're all happy, then all of a sudden you come home a few days later, boom,
and the funny thing
blows up.
The funny thing was that it happened in Vodafone in Canberra, and it was from Vodafone, which completely suck. Vodafone are not good. I'm not a fan of them.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
So
yeah, an added note to that: AT&T might be buying it.
I don't know about that, mate. Raj, do you have an iPad or a new iPad or the iPhone or anything Apple at all?
No, I am the techno dinosaur here. I have a iPhone 5. I've been meaning to go get a 5S, but they're still sold out in quite a few stores here in the Bay Area.
Okay.
And then I haven't pre-ordered an iPad Air, if you're asking, but it definitely looks cool.
It does look very cool. I'm going to get the iPad Mini Retina.
They had them in the store today.
iPad Mini Retina?
Mm-hmm. They had I think so. I know that they definitely had the Air because I was asking about the 32, and they had it in stock.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Raj, this is Jennifer. How are you waiting for the gold or 5S? Is that the one that you're...
No, I was just waiting for a white 5S, but I think the Bay Area is kind of its own inventory allotments because I think there's a extreme number of Apple
such a high demand.
And a high density here.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So Raj, tell us about what you do, mate, and you got a new app called, it's a calendar app. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks. The company called Tempo AI. We make Tempo Smart Calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And we incubated it at SRI. If you're not familiar, that's Stanford Research Institute. They're used to be part of Stanford University, and they actually had spun out in the 70s because they were doing paranormal research for the Vietnam War. But basically, they've invented a number of things from the mouse to radar to GPS, etc. Most recently spun out Siri. And we had built Tempo really thinking about what we felt a next generation assistant could look like oriented around your day. So what we do at Tempo is we take your existing calendar, which is effectively an expression of intent, where you're going, what you're doing, who you're going to meet, and we try to augment it with additional information, effectively providing you a dossier before each meeting to help you be better prepared, as well as surfacing actions that are sort of the most common when you think about calendar, whether it's looking up drive time or navigating or finding parking or viewing somebody's background data or maybe even just seeing relevant email, whatever it might be, all within your sort of calendar.
Okay. Any questions, Jennifer, for Raj?
Well, first I have to say I'm a fan of your app. I've been using it for months on my iPhone 5. And
Cool.
yeah, you're very welcome. I'm excited you're on the show. So how did you come up with the idea to do this? I mean, it's definitely a needed item, to be able to get more use out of a calendar, right? And out of your device, just to make it more helpful for different events that occur, or someone's birthday, send them a message, or whatever it is, travel time. So it makes sense. But how did you come up with the idea? Was it you or?
No. So it actually, what's funny, so most of my career I've been a engineer and product manager, and most recently I was running business development for another mobile company. And what I tell people is until you do business development, you don't know what it's like to have back-to-back meetings and sort of live and breathe in your calendar. The interesting thing is when I was thinking about Tempo initially, was really thinking about just something simple to let people know I'm running late. So I was constantly running late with this busy calendar. Can I build some simple workflow for that? And in the process of thinking through that, had discovered SRI and realized they had some interesting technology as it related to figuring out related information. So how you could pull related things together, especially when it dealt with sort of calendar and email and documents and so forth. And so I decided to join forces with SRI and spent a lot of time thinking about, in connection with sort of improving my I'm Running Late app, spent a lot of time thinking about what next generation assistants might look like. So if you think Siri being sort of the first generation, you ask a question, it responds. Where things are going is it's all about sort of that latent search, that anticipatory search. Why do you have to ask? It should just know and push it to you when you need it. And so as we started sort of figuring this out, what we realized was that the calendar was a great place to surface a lot of this assistant kind of functionality. And so we like to say it looks like a calendar but feels like an assistant. And so that's sort of how it came about. And like all of these sort of stories, often starts with something very, very simple, like I'm running late. You start at point A, but you end up at point B.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'm glad you made it. So it's definitely a fan here.
Yeah.
And Brad, do you use it on your phone?
Yeah, I use it every day. I love it. I actually was asking these guys when it's coming to Australia, and it actually come to Australia. How long ago was that, Raj, to come to Australia?
I think we launched in Australia, maybe it was like a little over 2 months ago,
okay,
2.5 months ago.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, it's we're continuing to get to more countries, just continuing to improve it. We just did a big update about a couple weeks ago, and slowly, trying to become more and more of your assistant.
Any chance will it be on the iPad at all anytime soon? Or?
So I mean, we're thinking about web and we're thinking about iPads. We're definitely spending energy there. I think the key thing to think about is the way you use a calendar and the types of actions you take are different depending on screen. So for example, if you're on your desktop, most people have like the week view open, and they're primarily adding meetings. They see one's available and they add something. But when you're on your iPad, is the experience adding meetings, or is the experience more looking the week ahead, which is very different to mobile, because on mobile it's a lot more about today, what's going on next, sort of the now moment. And so we just want to make sure that when we bring the experience to these other devices, we bring the best calendar experience that we can in terms of user workflow for that particular screen size.
All right. Brent, any questions?
Hey.
Brent, any questions?
Yeah, just Raj, I'm looking at the website right now. I'm looking at tempo.ai and clicking through, and this is kind of my first exposure to this. And I guess my first question I have is what's the long-term goal here? What is the business model?
So we're building an assistant for business professionals. We have users who are baristas. We have users who are soccer moms. Don't get me wrong. There's sort of a wide range of users, but our heaviest users tend to be people who have a lot of meetings. They're sort of they work their day job, whatnot, and they have a lot of back-to-back meetings or internal meetings, whatever it might be. What's fascinating is the side effect of Tempo sort of building this sort of business assistant is we are building a very, very good understanding of calendar data. So we like to say, we like to call it the meeting graph. So we know the strength of relationships, like who you meet and who that person meets, and how all of that's sort of related together. And we have some ideas on how we can monetize that. We haven't said much externally yet on how we can monetize that for teams. So how we could share this sort of meeting graph kind of data across a team within an organization to sort of help the productivity of a team. So we haven't talked too much about it externally, but I think you're going to find Tempo increasingly feel more and more like LinkedIn.
Cool.
I think anyone who looks at these screenshots is clearly going to reach the same conclusion I think that the rest of us and the users on this show who already use Tempo have reached, which is that this is clearly an improvement on the native iOS app for calendaring. But what would prevent Apple from looking at this and saying, these are good ideas, we'll just take it and run with it? Do you have any patents on any of this stuff?
So I mean, two different things there. So the patent side, yes. I mean, we're spin out of a research institute, so we have we're unusual as a startup in that we have a lot of patents. But the real question is, what would prevent Apple from doing this themselves? I think the key here is, and it was the inspiration around the icon, connecting dots. We connect a lot of disparate data and services together. And when I think of Apple or I think of Google, their sort of incentive is to make sure everything works really well within their ecosystem. So if you're Google, make sure it works well with Google Calendar, Google Mail, Google Talk, Google Maps, but not necessarily Facebook, and not necessarily Twitter, and not necessarily LinkedIn, and not necessarily Hoovers or Crunchbase or Foursquare, whatever it might be. And if you're Apple, you want to make it work really well with iCloud and Apple Mail, but not necessarily Google or Google Calendar. And so one of the nice things being the startup is we're able to sort of go across that. And the reality with calendars is, unlike email, where people are very good about separating, for example, work and personal email, calendars are really like they're a melting pot. People put everything into the same calendar, whether it's personal or work. And so we're able to sort of slice across, whether it's Exchange, Google, Microsoft, Google, Apple, or whatever other services to try to create just the best experience.
All right, Jody, any questions at all for Raj?
Yeah, Raj, I've got a ton of questions. I think it's really fascinating what you're trying to do. I noticed that you've got it limited to 4 email accounts. And I mean, I've got a slew more than that. But I'm just curious what the...
when we launched back in mid-February, what we were very shocked by was you can't plan for this. It's just how extreme some people's email and calendar is, whether it's like tens of thousands of emails received a day to hundreds of thousands of contacts in their address book. And so we sort of just created an artificial limit just to sort of manage abuse, but we actually plan to bump that up. There's no reason specifically.
Cool.
Okay, and where do you intend to take it from here? What other features are you looking at adding?
Yeah, so I think the key thing is to keep thinking about, how to be a better business assistant. Like, what are the things like your admin might do at the office? Whether it's helping you with scheduling, pulling together dossiers, letting people know you're running behind, giving you important news when you need it. So there's a range of different ideas around what an assistant would do for you if you had a real world assistant at the workplace. And we really think about it from that sort of standpoint. So we're going to continue to add more kinds of actions that you can take from Tempo, whether it's like requesting a taxi or booking a flight. We're going to continue to add more kinds of data, so we could surface your related Evernotes into each event, maybe more photos, icebreakers for each of the people that you talk to. But in addition to all of that, just new kinds of ways to surface an assistant kind of experience beyond just sort of the calendar itself. So an example of that is we have the calendar, but within Tempo you can click the little people icon towards the top right, and you can see an address book that we've built into Calendar. And this address book is smarter than your ordinary address book because it's trying to figure out who it thinks you're going to call today, which is built out of your calendar data. And so Calendar as a data source, I think, presents a whole range of different experiences and ways you can slice it up. And so we're just going to continue to sort of build on that to become this sort of professional business assistant.
Cool. Are you going to integrate with Siri or any other voice activated?
Well, so you can use Siri right now. You can actually create an event through Siri and it will show up in Tempo.
Cool.
So definitely the calendar we get that kind of for free because that's sort of, if you create an event in Siri, it syncs to the device and the device syncs with us. But if Apple opens up APIs with Siri, certainly would love to do that. We know a lot of the Siri folks. I'm actually in a room at SRI right now that's called Siri. It was the room that Siri came from. But there is no SDK or API yet available. So, but definitely something that we think about just because some of the most common calendar actions that we see in Tempo, for example, dial me into a conference call in an automatic way so I don't have to remember the PIN code, is something people are doing while they're driving. Or letting someone know that they're running late. They're doing this while they're driving, and of course that's dangerous. And so, can we enable that through some more friendly car kind of UI, which Siri would be great for?
I've got to say I love the whole PIN code thing with the conference calls because I work for a big corporation and we, webinars all the time and conference calls all the time, right? And putting in that PIN automatically is really great.
Thanks. Yeah, we're continuing to improve that. I think there's like millions of patterns it now supports, but we're looking at ways to make it even easier. So when you create meetings in Tempo, you can just add a conference call to your meeting.
All right.
Jacob, got a question? Go ahead.
Questions?
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I got one for like Android. You know how the Androids have NFC?
Yeah.
Yeah, haven't I? Like your passcode system.
Sure.
Like it'll keep it in the program. Like for instance, if you have an automatic door lock with an NFC chip in the phone, yeah, but you don't want to enter the phone, you can slide the phone over the lock and it'll open it with the NFC.
Yeah, I know the keyless door entry stuff. I've seen that. I first saw that on Shark Tank.
All right. Anything else, Jacob? Anything else?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't. What was the question though? Was the question integrating that into the calendar?
Yeah, like if you had an appointment, they sent you the code to get in the building. Like if they have one of the some buildings have
I see what you're saying. Yeah, so to us I see what you're saying. So to us that would just be another action that you could maybe take from an event, which is on the same page as, for example, generate an expense report out of my calendar, or find a time that both of us are available out of my calendar. So those are all sort of different possible actions that you could take. But the notion of using NFC we do think about in a different way, which is what benefits can we bring to our users if you're both Tempo users. So if you're both Tempo users, we actually know a lot because we have this sort of second degree understanding of this meeting graph. And so there's ways that we can maybe make scheduling in your life a lot easier or other things. And so those are things that we think about.
All right. Anything else, Jacob?
Well, I'm currently using Tempo on my iPad.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, that is
It's not
very cool.
optimized for that, but it will work.
Actually, with iOS 7, they fixed it. It's crystal clear. It looks like I'm looking at a picture, crystal clear picture.
That's great. That
Cool.
works. So, Raj, you actually had Robert Scoble actually interviewed you about this app. That's how I come across it.
Yeah, no. He and actually, yes, last night he just had his. I don't know if you were aware. He had a book launch party for his new book he just released, Age of Context.
Yep. Did you go?
I was on a flight and I was supposed to go, and my flight was delayed, returning back from a trip, and so by the time I got back, it was like 9:30, and I missed it, so I was bummed.
Oh, damn.
But I heard it was a great event.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it looked like it was cool.
I'm sure there was a lot. There was more Google Glass in that room than anywhere in the world.
I'm sure there would be.
Probably they'll be like this. Like, nice picture. Chink, chink,
Okay.
chink, 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 chink.
I basically what I'm saying is I'm sure it's a well-documented event.
Yes, it was. It was all over Facebook. Brent, any other questions before we go?
No, I'm browsing around the website. Really, the more I look at this, the more I think intrigued I am by it, because I think there's a lot of companies out there who take the gamble to say we can do a native app better than Apple does it. And they do that by introducing new functionality and new improved ways of using that app that a lot of people would love Apple to do. But then they fail on the design side. They make it cluttered and ugly. Maybe it is more productivity in there, but it doesn't look as good. You guys seem to have solved both those, and I'm sure you're going to do great.
Thank you. Yeah, we're chugging away. It'll keep getting better for sure.
Definitely. So what's the next updates coming for the app, Raj? Any new updates coming at all soon? Or?
Yeah, I mean we have a sort of a micro update that's going to be going live in a couple weeks, and then we're working on a bigger update with quite a few new things that should hopefully make adding meetings a lot easier and scheduling, which is something people have wanted us to attack for a while, and so looking forward to sharing more about that in about a month.
Cool.
But it's definitely cooking.
And how many people work for you at the moment?
How many people are we?
Yeah.
We're 14 people, so we're all based here in Menlo Park, California.
Nice.
So one thing, I do have a question. So, for example, when I have Tempo and I have an appointment, an event or something, and it has an address on there, I tap that address, it pulls up my Google Maps app rather than the Apple Maps app on my phone. I guess, would that be a setting that I haven't, which that's great. I prefer Google Maps to Apple Maps anyway. But I'm just kind of curious, do you have something that you work directly with Google Maps, or is that perhaps a setting in my device?
No, yeah. So we actually have a setting inside of Tempo, and we made the default Google Maps, and we did that. And so I can't speak for Australia, but definitely here in the U.S., Google Maps usage is almost superseded Apple Maps usage, just because the map data wasn't as qualitative.
Right.
But you can actually go into Tempo settings, preferences, and you can revert it if you wanted to use Apple Maps. So it's just a feature for our users.
Okay, I just didn't realize that. No, I'm not going to do that. I prefer Google Maps, but I just thought I would ask.
That's what we assumed most of our users preferred.
See, you know me all too well.
Nice one. All right, Jody, any more questions before we wrap up?
No, we're good. I really appreciate your coming on, Rod. It's fascinating and a great app, and I wish you guys a lot of success.
I agree. What Jody said. Raj, that's it, mate. Anything else you want to say before we go? Or?
No, that's it. No, really appreciate inviting me to the podcast. Sorry it took so long.
It's okay, mate.
To get this scheduled.
The time mixed up again, as always, because that's USA time over there, because they got back 1 hour.
Yeah, and then we had daylight savings time.
Yes.
that didn't really help, and it's sometimes impossible to figure out what time is where.
Exactly.
But happy to have had participated in this podcast. So thank you.
Thanks, mate. Brent, final thought? Oh, go ahead, Jane.
Raj, maybe you can tell everybody how they could get the app, where they can find it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's in your app store. So just search for Tempo Calendar or Tempo Smart Calendar. I think if you search for Tempo, it might be the second result because there's a guitar tuning app I think called Tempo as well.
Yep.
You can also just navigate to the website on your phone, tempo.ai. I think we're the first .ai website in the world, which is Anguilla Islands. But we played at AI for artificial intelligence. And by the way, there's green fields there. If you want 2-letter domain names, you can get them with .ai. So you can navigate to tempo.ai on your phone, or you can go to the App Store, search for Tempo or Tempo Smart Calendar, or just go to the productivity category, browse free. I think we're usually in the top 100 or 150 or something like that.
Nice one.
And the app is free.
The app is free.
Yep.
That'd be sweet. Free is good. Brent, what's your view on this show and your Twitter username and stuff, mate?
So my Twitter handle is MobileRaj.
Yep.
MobileRaj. Feel free to ping me at that Twitter handle or direct message me, or you can visit my blog is rajansingh.com.
Okay.
Another way to get to me, and I think my email address is there as well.
Sweet, mate. All right, good stuff. Brent, your Twitter name and stuff?
You can just reach me telepathically. Just think real hard, and
Okay.
I'll hear whatever you have to say.
All right, will do. Jacob Jones, final view. What's your final thoughts on this show and your Twitter name, mate?
This show was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, you can follow me at jazzbot36691Z.
Okay, Jody, what's your Twitter name and stuff?
You can find me on Twitter as Sunswept, and mostly everywhere else as either Jody Rains or webmarkcom.net.
Cool. I hope you get your iPad fixed.
I know, me too.
That sucks. Jennifer.
And for me, you can find me at jenniferruggiero.com or getnerdywithit.com. And my Twitter handle is jruggiero. And Mobile Raj, I just followed you. So.
Okay, cool. I'm on Twitter right now.
You can get me on Twitter at Brad. I was on a Techwebcast. Jennifer, what's your show about before you go? Give us a quick brief.
Oh, okay. Get Nerdy With It is an interview, tech, geeky type show. It is a weekly show, and it is a podcast. So definitely check us out. GetNerdyWithIt.com. So thanks for letting me plug it. I appreciate it.
Well, I'll let you plug it on this show every week.
Aw, you're so kind.
Hey, we try to plug you on Tech Luster as well.
I know you do. I appreciate all the shout outs. So thank you.
You were on the other day, weren't you, Jennifer?
Yes, you had me on just a couple nights ago.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was good fun, yeah.
A lot of fun.
Thank you, Jody, Jennifer, Raj, and Brent, and Jacob. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Hi, Glenn from Aussie Tech Heads. Join Will, Eric and myself as we bring you the latest, most up-to-date, important tech news that affects you from Australia and the world. Weekly podcast available each Friday through iTunes. Watch the live stream recording of the show at live.thesecrethub.com each Thursday night, 7:30pm or GMT plus 10. Call in live via Skype or chat in our lounge. However you get us, just make sure you do. Listen or visit our website for more information, www.aussietechheads.com.au. Aussie Tech Heads, Australia's longest running tech news podcast.
Well, that's it for Tech Webcast this week. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed having your mind expanded. Tune in next week for more tech talk with Brad, Jason, and whatever crazy guest they've managed to rope in. Don't forget to get the Tech Webcast app from iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at Tech Webcast, and of course check us out on Facebook too. Until next time, may the tech be with you. Peace.